Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Soca Odyssey, and I'm here with the beautiful, astounding Soca royalty. They like to call it Soca royalty, the princess, and rightly so, the princess of Soca right now, soon to be queen, soon to be everything in between, amazing, lovely, well-touring superstar. I can call you a superstar now, right?
Yes, you can.
Yes, most certainly. Nailah Blackman. Here, it's your boy Influential. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The chair for Soca Odyssey. Not in Carnival. We're here. We're nice. Feeling good. Let's talk straight away about the fit.
Okay.
But let's not be cliche and talk about your music now.
Okay.
We know you're getting to that already and how you started. We know the royalty. Are you making a venture into fashion? Because you're very fashionistic, you have the trend, you have the look. Are we seeing a clothing line, some brand partnerships per se?
You know something? I hope to do some brand partnerships first, and I'll tell you why. I do have my own brand. It's called Sokah Gyal, and
Say it again for me.
It's called Sokah Gyal, right?
Find it on the Instagram. What's the Sokah? What's the website?
It's just called Sokah Gyal on Instagram, SOKAH. But I haven't actually done anything yet with it because it takes a lot of time, and my career is actually really demanding. So I'm always busy. I could barely find time for myself personally. So I haven't ventured there yet. I do need a team to pull off something like that. But I said I would start small and try doing brand partnerships before going on to launching my whole thing, because especially in fashion, there's still so much to learn. I used to sew when I was growing up, and I design most of my performance outfits now. So I'm still designing, I'm still sewing, I'm still crafting or whatever, but I think it just takes a certain amount of effort that I don't have right now. So I'm putting it into my music, you know, to get to that point. Yeah.
Fashion-wise, who are some of the people, entities, brands that are influencing, inspiring, getting the juices flowing for your creative dress sense, you know?
Well, I do love most of like the top designers, and I do follow a lot of the fashion blogs, Fashion Bomb Daily, Vogue, you know, magazines. I'm on trend with everything, but naturally I kind of just like people, like random people on the internet that have a unique sense of style or whatever. When talking about artists, I really like MIA. I love her fashion sense. Rihanna. Who else? It's a couple other people, but you know, not to just roll off the town, you know. So I'm inspired by a lot of different things, and I think my mood dictates a lot of what I wear, you know. Sometimes I will pack for a trip and then I'll be like, I have nothing to wear because I just don't feel to wear that in that moment. If I don't feel to wear it, I'm probably not going to wear it, you know. I might just end up in like a head tie and something, just because that's how I felt in that moment. So my emotions do dictate what I wear a lot, you know.
And would you say that's the same kind of vibe and energy you take towards the writing and the creative style for your music as well?
Yes, definitely.
Are you a person that can only write in the studio, or can you be anywhere, anytime?
I did not start writing in a studio. I started writing on my windowsill. So you could imagine I could write anywhere. I even write in airports. I write in bathrooms a lot. Like I'll go in the toilet and I'll just start humming, and then just like pull out my phone and start writing a whole song in the bathroom stall. So it really doesn't matter.
That's good. That's good. We love the versatility in that. There's no limit to how creative you can be, and we definitely look forward to seeing more and more Sokah Gyal pieces here. So people in the UK or the wider world, if you're watching this, of course, make sure you share. This is Soca Odyssey, so influential, lovely Nailah Blackman. We're on WORLMAG YouTube. If you can assist in any way with Sokah Gyal, hit up Nailah, hit up the Instagram, and of course, make sure you're buying. So make sure you share this as well. How do we now see Nailah developing throughout the pandemic? Because 2018, you were at Soca on the Seas, amazing European tour. 2019, you were busy. When did you do South by Southwest?
I did South by Southwest twice actually. So I did South by Southwest in 2018 and then I did it again this year. And 2018 was cool. I met a lot of dope people. That was where I met Adekunle Gold and Patu Rankin. And that's how I ended up doing this song with him during the pandemic, from that relationship that we forged there. And then this year I went back to South by Southwest and it was fantastic. I was there with a band and honestly, we stole the show. it was really, really amazing. We made some lovely connects, you know. So yeah, it's just a dope platform to meet people in the industry that you wouldn't otherwise.
Brilliant. So for those that don't know, South by Southwest is a massive festival in America, in Texas.
Yes, Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas, where they highlight and show you artists from all over the globe, all different genres. And I believe you were the first, if not one of the first soca artists on that platform.
Yeah.
Waving the flag high for Trinidad and Tobago, giving it up soca flavor. How do you prepare for something like South by Southwest? Because it's different from a Marshall Monday or a Kiss on the Rocks or your own personal shows or a Soca on the Sea or, you know, a New York Labor Day.
I when I do performances most time, I do like to cater to the audience. And for something like South by Southwest, where you have no idea who is going to be there, who is going to see you, where they're going to be from, I think you just have to be very open with your performance and like you do what you do best, but then you also keep your conversation flow very unspecific and very just broad as a music, because for somebody, and funny enough, that night there was many people there from Germany and they don't even really speak much English, but they were like so blown away by the performance. And I think it's like not speaking like overly fast or not making it like overly hype, just kind of like something anybody could vibe to and get a sense of what the music means, even though if they don't even understand it. So that's kind of what I did with that performance. Yeah.
I love that. And live band performance, do you prefer that over, you know, the TV track, the audio backing?
I actually do. Because I'm a musician, I play the guitar, it is in me to want to just stop a song in the middle and just like take it down slow, then speed it back up and then just run away with it. And I have my own band called Soca the Band actually. But we don't get to travel much, you know. The Caribbean community and the diasporas are usually small in comparison, so it's usually a lot more to fly with your band. But live music, I feel like if that is something that can't really be replaced, you know. But I do love to play with my DJ as well, because something different about a club performance when you're just in the sauce and you just go in, that's a vibe too. Like that's something that you can't replace either, but it's just two different settings. Me, because I'm usually in that setting, I do prefer to be like more vulnerable. With a band, you're able to be more vulnerable, you're able to be more intimate. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. How would you describe the kind of soca that Nailah Blackman does now? You've been in the business for some time. What kind of soca is Nailah Blackman doing now?
I would describe my soca as experimental. And I use that word because some soca songs that I have, I wouldn't even call it soca. Because yes, it has a flavor of it, but for what soca is known to be, it's not necessarily that, but it's the way I come on it, the language I use on it. There's many elements that brings it back to soca, but I find I like to be more experimental because, I mean, if you just keep it the same, then that wouldn't be as fun, you know?
Definitely.
That wouldn't be as fun. Like I mean, coming from being the granddaughter of the creator of soca music, the reason how soca was even created to begin with was because of experimentation. So I guess I kind of have that same mindset coming into soca and into music, because he was a Calypsonian that was like, you know what, chutney kind of vibe though. It kind of nice. So what if we just like made them one? Like, you know, he grew up in an East Indian community with an East Indian family. And he felt like calypso and chutney, they're not that far. They should be one. And he experimented with the sound and created soca. And now I kind of have the...
Yeah, listening.
I kind of have the feeling like soca has its identity. His identity hasn't really gone where my grandfather intended it for it to go. But now music is so different. The world is so much more connected with social media and everything. And I believe that soca needs a bigger audience. It needs a bigger platform. Not just Caribbean people. I think us as Caribbean people, we need to be willing to share more. You know, allow people to come into our spaces to understand not just what we do, but how we do it and how we can make it for everybody and not just for us, you know?
Definitely.
And I think that soca in itself, like how I bring to the music is to just bring all my influences. I didn't just grow up listening to soca music. I actually didn't listen to much soca music growing up. I listened to a lot of jamu music, which is the other genre my grandfather created. It's more gospel. And my family, that's what majority of them did, and it's 24 of them, so you can imagine how much music that is. But there was a lot of local music apart from rap, soul, jamu, just conscious in general, so many different folk style music coming out of Trinidad. And apart from that, I've listened to almost every genre growing up, from rock, country, jazz, hip hop, R&B, soul, opera. I studied opera, like literally everything. And I feel like I don't want to limit my music. So when I do soca, I bring everything of me into it, not just the parts that people can already see and is already there. Bring something new to the table. So I just express myself and voila!
Simply and beautifully put. Talk to us now a bit more about that collaboration with Adekunle Gold, because a lot of times in the diaspora, like you said, we like to keep to ourselves, keep it all to ourselves, but it's important to connect back with the motherland because that's where we came from.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's such a great way for the Afrobeats and the soca to connect in a beautiful way. How did that collaboration come about, and was it done studio to studio? Were you in the same space?
Well, actually, so after meeting Adekunle, well, first of all, I actually met Adekunle over the phone. So he did a song on Wash Your Fire album, and Wash Your Fire sent that song to me and asked me to put a verse on it. And I did that, and I sang the chorus with him, and I found our voices sounded so beautiful together. And then we reached out to each other over social media, and we were like, wow, we should do another song because we sound great together. And I was like, yeah, we do. And then I happened to meet him in South by Southwest, so that just kind of solidified our relationship and stuff, and we were really cool. And then we were in Miami and we did a whole other song, and we shot a music video. It was like a whole thing, but then we didn't finish the song and we didn't put it out. And it's just there, and things kind of got lost. He got busy, I got busy, and then the pandemic happened, and I don't think I've heard from him for like a year. And then I think it was like in the middle of June 2020, he just called me at like 2 o'clock in the morning one night. I'm guessing it's because whatever time it was by him, and he was just like, hey, I have this song, like, would you sing the chorus of it? And I was like, it's 2 a.m. Sure, what is it? He sent me the file, and I'm not sure who it was singing. I think it might have been his wife, Simi, and I just did it right there and then at 2 o'clock in the morning. I sent it back to him immediately, and I guess literally got mixed and mastered that same day. And then boom, I was on his album, which came out like a week later or something. So it was just like very last minute, spurty moments. And this was during the pandemic where like things were, I was just in my house. We couldn't go out, we couldn't go anywhere. Like I couldn't leave Trinidad and I couldn't leave my house either. So it was Trinidad was very locked down, lock and key. If you go anywhere, you get a ticket kind of vibe, you know? So yeah.
And do you see yourself venturing more into that sphere of Afro soca or Afro beats? Because I know at one point we saw a lot of artists do those collaborations, which I feel are important to do and necessary for the growth of both Afro beats and soca, where we can marry the two together as we are one people. So can we see an Afro beats track? Can we see more collaborations on that part from you? Are you swaying into that direction?
Well, yes, I am. Well, first of all, Workouts had an Afro inspiration, and that was my very first song, so it was always there from the beginning. Even Olado, it kind of had a little Afro thing in it too. But yeah, after doing that collaboration with Adekunle, I just released a new song with Oxlade from Nigeria as well.
Ooh, yes.
So that one is actually doing really, really well on Spotify, and it's gonna do even better as the album comes out.
I was about to ask you, I'm asking every artist, when are we getting these albums? Because we need the albums now. So
well, I'm doing a very full album, and the album actually has a couple Afrobeat tracks on it, and a couple produced by your very own from the UK, Team Salute.
They got Team Salute.
Yes, and they did my last, I would say, more Afrobeat track, which was Sweet and Loco. So, yeah, so it's a lot going on right now. This album, it's a full-length album, my very first. I did an EP before,
yes,
and now I'm doing a full-length album, and it's set to release very soon.
People, you heard her first. We're getting a full album very soon. Soca Odyssey giving you the exclusives. Don't worry, when it comes out, we're gonna have a listening party. We're gonna take you in. We're gonna sit down right here with the Flat Cap drinks. You know, they're the sponsor for this episode. Drink some, and we're gonna take it in. Some grapes, some watermelon. To keep it juicy, keep it in line with the brand, and just enjoy the creativeness. How, at this point now in your career, do you at any point get any what they call writer's block? Are you ever at a point where you're stuck or you need to get assistance from an additional writer?
Well, the thing about it is that back in 2018, 2019, 2017, when I first came out, I wrote most of my songs, right? Like almost everything I had was me writing it. And I did get a lot of writer's block during those years, and I felt like I had a lot of writer's block because of how fast my life was changing, and I couldn't keep up as a writer. You need to think, you need to be introspective a lot. You need to understand how you feel, understand where you are. There's just a lot of, you need to be so self-analytical that when it's time to write, you already know what you want to say because you've said it to yourself a million times, because you've had this constant relationship with yourself that when you're writing, it's like you're just spilling out what's already happening inside. But I feel like the writer's block came when life was moving too fast for me. So I didn't have any time to just understand myself or understand my change or my thoughts or anything, because I was just always around somebody else, always. And I was never around people. Like, I was a home bud, like, love my space, love being alone, love being in silence. And I didn't have any time for that. Huh?
By the windowsill.
Exactly. I didn't have any time for that anymore. And I was always somewhere else, talking to someone in the middle of a crowd with a million people. So that was why the pandemic did a lot for me. It did really, really well for me. It's opened me up to start seeing myself for me again, hearing my own thoughts again, and just silencing the noise, because I feel like sometimes you're so on the go, life's moving so fast that you forget that you have to move with it, you know what I'm saying? And so now I'm a lot clearer. I don't really get writer's block like that anymore. But now I'm a lot more open to collaborating with writers. So a lot of my projects I've been collaborating with a lot of different writers, because it just makes life so much easier when you're writing with purpose.
Yes.
There's songs for me where I will still write by myself in my bedroom or whatever. And then there's songs that, you know, you're in a studio and there's a bunch of other talented people and you put your heads together and you create something dope, you know. So I think also back then, I somehow felt like, or if I needed help, that's somehow a bad thing. But now I'm at the stage in my life where I'm like, that's great, because 2 is better than 1, and 3, 4 chord not easily broken. So
we respect that wholeheartedly. Who has been your favorite artist to collab with so far, in any sense, or favorite artists, because it could be more than one?
My favorite artist to collab with, I'd have to say Kes, because he was like my first, and Workouts is such a special song that working with him did a lot for me, because it taught me a lot about even the stage. It's one thing to do a collab and it's dope in the studio and then that happens, but then when the song lives on and 2 people have the energy, and it's like, he also taught me a lot about how to be on stage, you know, and that's collabs that you could learn from is priceless, you know? Yeah.
Definitely. Have you had a chance to perform with Adekunle Gold on the stages yet?
No, I have not. We're always on a different side of the world.
So when are you going to Nigeria then? Because
I have to go really soon. I have to go.
It's time.
I think it's time too, to be honest.
I think it's time, because I've always said, since about 2019, I said, you know what? Soca now needs the African continent to get behind it, just like they did with reggae, just like they did with dancehall.
Yeah.
And I feel like soca, there is, with the right production, the right songs, and the continuous collabs that we've had over the years, we're slowly but surely getting there, and that will be the catapulting that soca needs. Because granted, yes, we have 44 million people in the Caribbean, but compared to 200 million, and that's just one country. And then you have X amount in this country, X amount in that country. We have a very bright future ahead where we can hear the similarities in the Afrobeats with the soca and vice versa. So why not bring that energy forward? And we're now seeing the likes of Burna Boy doing full-on concerts in Barbados, and now we're seeing Michelle go to Nigeria and work with artists as well. But I want to see a soca concert.
Yeah.
Michelle, Kes, Nailah, Nadi, Patsy, Divine, Batch, Mersey, just to name a few, Trini Boy, Juicy, just to name a few. And the people on the continent can appreciate it and say, yes, this has come from us, coming back to us, like Sankofa. Can you see yourself on a Nigerian stage working that crowd, or is that still something that you're not too sure of as yet?
I mean, come on. Right now, when you hear my album, I think you should come back and ask me that question again. There's no limits. I don't put any limits to myself and my music. I don't do music for the Caribbean. I do music for the world, you know? So I hope that answers your question.
It definitely does. And I'm glad to hear that, because sometimes it's so easy to pigeonhole ourselves into our little comfort zones and not realize that, listen, we now have...
But can I tell you something? I don't think soca has ever been comfortable for me. I've never been comfortable in soca. Not because I'm uncomfortable, but because when I came into soca, it was new to me. I'd never done soca before Workout. Workout was my very first soca. Before that, I was doing everything under the sun. And I worked on several albums before releasing my first song. I worked on acoustic albums. I worked on full-length produced albums. It wasn't soca. It was what I just like to call music. I called it Caribbean folk, this, that, the other. I've always been working on music, but soca was new to me. The way you perform new. Everything was new, so I could never felt comfortable. I was used to playing my guitar, singing, and I used to jumping and whining on the place, like, you know, so to me, it was never comfortable. And I always feel like your comfort zone will kill you. If you feel comfortable somewhere, get out, you know? And that's why I got out of what I was doing, because I was really comfortable. And I was like, nah, if I stay here, this would be the death of me. So I ventured to try to come back, to do more, to explore, you know?
We love that. And along the way, what are some of the things or artists that have kept you afloat, especially during the pandemic? We know that you said you appreciated that, but was that the case throughout? Because at some point, doesn't it get to a point where you're like, okay, cool, I've spent my 6 months, I've had my solitude, I'm ready to be out there again, but hey, we've got another year of this to go. How did you navigate that?
To be honest, I enjoyed the entire time, I tell you, because I'll tell you what, when I came out in 2017, I did like 300 shows that year. First of all, the way soca artists tour and do shows is unlike any other genre. We work so hard, first of all. So that year, that my come out year, I literally did 300 shows. There's 365 days in a year. So you could imagine basically 65 days of the year I wasn't on a stage. But it was crazy. Then 2018, I was nominated for the BET. That was when I got my visa, and I was traveling everywhere. I literally went everywhere under the sun. 2019 was just like a reboot of that. I was living on a plane. I had no time for myself. So when 2020 came, 2020 Carnival, I did 98 shows in 6 weeks for 2020. By the time I was ready to go on tour again and realize that the tour had canceled and everything had canceled and the year was completely free and all I had to do was stay in my house, I was like,
perfect.
what? To me, even when the year was done, I got to do so many things as an artist. This is why you see these big stars, they take these hiatuses for like 2 years and such. It's because if you are somebody who is like, okay, you're a celebrity and you're in the limelight and you love being in the limelight and you know, that's like your thing, you're like a socialite, that COVID would be painful for you because you would need to be out and about and doing things. But for me, I was an introvert. I had to be forced to be an extrovert to express. And so just getting time to actually, I'm getting back into my education now. I'm learning French, I'm learning Spanish. Like I could have done that life. I could have done that life. And I didn't miss the life until I realized the bills were piling up. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, so you can't just write songs and feed your dog and exercise and learn Spanish. Like you actually have to go out and perform again. And then it was only when I started back performing did I miss it. I was like, oh, I missed this. Okay, but while I was on my down, I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it a bit.
Makes sense. It's good to hear that, because some artists are like, nah, I need that time. And some artists are like, yeah, I need the family. But it's very rare sometimes to find an artist that appreciates the solitude, the silence, the oneness that comes with a pandemic and stepping away from everything and everyone. And when I'm on the other side of the pandemic, here in London, how has it been this time around now? You're a seasoned, you're British now, mate.
You know it. You know it.
So
don't make me turn her on.
Get me, turn it on. What's it like this time around? It's after a pandemic. You've had, I believe you were at Titan Festival?
Yeah.
And how was that first and foremost?
I would say it was absolutely beautiful. The weather is great. People are great. Food. Summer in London is perfect. Perfect.
Did you have some Nando's?
No, I actually didn't have Nando's this time around, but I don't really eat meat, so when I go there, I usually only eat sides anyway. So it was cool to come to London and not eat Nando's, but I do have to go there before I leave. I have to, you know.
Definitely. What are we expecting from this Nottingham Carnival?
Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna be on the Spotify truck. I'm also gonna be on the TikTok truck. So I'm looking for float. You guys call it floats. Float, right? So I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be really dope. I'm gonna be at the Panorama. You're gonna have a
Saturday,
Panyard thing.
Yes. That's
yeah.
when Carnival starts for Nottingham people. Please remember, Carnival starts Saturday, Panorama.
Yeah.
You have Tudor Carnival in England. Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday.
I'm also gonna be at Kesho on Friday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Exclusives.
Yeah, I'm also doing something on the Sunday. I think there's a static stage. I can't remember the name right now. Sorry, but one of the biggest stages actually. I can't remember the name. It's slipping my brain.
I don't want to say any names and then get it wrong either. So we're on the stage on Sunday, which is good.
Yes, that's gonna be fire. But on Friday, the day I'm actually shooting a music video for him.
Okay. What is that music video for?
It's for one of the songs on my album, right? So you guys look forward. First of all, let's talk about the album for a bit, right?
Of course, please do.
So this album is very, very different. So first and foremost, there's a little bit of everything. There's soca, there's dancehall, there's Afrobeat, there's a little bit of house, there's hip hop, and more soca. Either way, it just has a lot of different spaces in it, and I'm looking forward to see how people like receive the music. There's even a little bit of Latin flavor in there, not to leave that out. But I'm really excited because I think that a lot of these songs I put my heart and soul into. Some are just written by me, some I wrote with other writers, but each song, like, it has a lot of me in it. Like, and I think that, you know, my fans, they are gonna hear that. And this album, let's just say 2023, is the year. So the album is... It's called Teknique, right? The album is called Teknique, and it's releasing on the 23rd of September. So that's literally right around the corner.
Right around the corner. So it's on all the platforms, right? Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube. Teknique, Nailah Blackman, we're getting a bit of house, soca, Afrobeats, dancehall, and of course, more soca. And remember, get your Sokah Gyal outfits. We want to see y'all on the TikTok enjoying this album in your Sokah Gyal outfits.
Yeah, I'm gonna have dope merch, so make sure and stay tuned to get the merch. And I want you guys to subscribe to Nailah Blackman Official on YouTube, because I'm gonna be having some fire music videos, one being shot here in London, so you guys can look forward to that. Yeah.
That's a dope look. So it's an exciting time to end the year.
Yeah, it is.
Exciting times. How long has it taken you to produce this album? It's your first album, right?
First album.
Right, so it's the premiere album.
I started working on this album in 2020, and during the pandemic, I was just home. I had a little home studio set up, and I will tell you, from 2020 to now, in 2022, I've done over 300 songs. I've done so much music, and so much music that I have a couple albums. Well, it was really hard for me to break down this album to 16 songs, and I ended up at that number because I just talked myself into splitting it in half, because I already had 32 songs, and then I was like, nah, this is a bit too much for an album. Let's kind of take it a little slow.
Save some for, yes. Definitely.
But there was so much music that I wanted to put on this, and I was like, you know what, time is not running out. We have time. Let's pace it, you know. So I finished the album, and I'm just like in awe. When I listened to it from top to bottom, I was like, I can't believe I've been working on this for so long, and it kind of just so happened like this, because some songs are new, some songs are old, and they all just fit so well together.
We love that. We love that. September the 23rd, Teknique. People, you need to be ready for it. You need to be aware. How to work. Let's go out there, let's support, let's stream. Can we know any other collabs or features? Who specifically? Let's give us 2 names.
Well, I'll tell you from the ones that are already out. So we have Salty and Father Phyllis on Teknique.
Is that your attempt at Zest?
No, it's not my attempt at Zest, actually. It's actually Baile Funk.
Ah,
right?
Nice.
But when you put, what kind of music would you say Father Phyllis does?
Zest? Soca?
Well, yeah, I get Zest. Let's call it Zest, because it is kind of like, but it's not bashment, no. Kind of.
Zest.
It's, you know?
Because the trim spin on dancehall is what you call Zest.
Yeah.
So yeah, Salty does
Zest.
Zest, and Father Phyllis does Zest as well, I would say.
Yeah, so putting both of them on it kind of made it feel zesty. But
yes.
I feel like when I did that track, it didn't occur to me like, oh, it's supposed to be a Zest track. Like this the beat itself is baile funk, you know, it's like that Brazilian dance
That's why
music.
it can transcend. Yes,
yeah, you know, so that I wasn't even thinking, you know, like we're just doing a vibe.
It's funny how accents change the perception of the song, because if you strip away Father Phyllis and Salty and it's left you on it, that could be probably a #1 smash hit in Brazil. And I think it could continue to be that way, definitely as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I'm gonna make sure I take that in again.
And then we have Oxlade on that song, Sit Down Pon It. So that's 3 collabs right there. Well, 2 collabs, 3 artists. And then I have a bunch of others, but I don't know if I want to let this information out just yet, because I do want you guys to, 1, follow me on social media and wait until I release this information bit by bit, right? And what else? Yeah, I mean,
speak to us a bit more about that Baile Funk, because I've been hearing that name more and more over the years, and I feel like globally it's growing even more and more outside of that Brazilian community, and it's getting into that overall world music. How did you get introduced to that, and would you work with a Brazilian artist, or do you plan to, or have you been to Brazil Carnival?
I've never been to Brazil Carnival, and that's because it actually is the exact same time as Trinidad Carnival. But I hope to one day to go to Brazil for Carnival. Funny enough, I did my first baile funk song, which was Bougie, on my first EP called The Real, and I did it because I'd noticed in my statistics that Brazil was actually #3 of like where my followers were from. And I found that so strange because I'd never been to Brazil. I mean, I don't even speak Portuguese. So I was like, okay, well, if people from there already know my music and who I am, I'm just gonna try their style of music. And Bougie definitely did really well. And following up on this track, it wasn't because of that, because now they're not necessarily top in my statistics anymore. But I just felt like I should follow up for those fans that are still there, you know?
Yes, indeed, definitely. We appreciate artistry like that because it's good to connect with the wider audience. And I remember seeing a tweet the other day by Audio Mac Caribbean who said, who is the most streamed soca artist? And I was like, are you basing that on your platform specifically and where people listen to that are soca lovers, like America, Caribbean, England, Germany, France? Or are you basing that on where somebody like in Brazil might get streams, or Australia, Japan, Indonesia? Like, where are you far and wide? Who's the most widespread? So I think you're in a very brilliant position. Keep it up.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see. And keep spreading that soca love and that Caribbean flavor and connecting the diaspora, because again, we're all singing and speaking in the same tongue, just with a slight different accent. So why not do this bad
Yeah.
funky? And I look forward to listening to that album and taking it in, and then seeing you again next year when we've had time to absorb the album and take it in and enjoy it, and again, drink some flat cap drinks, big up the sponsors again, and enjoy that. So we have the album coming, merch is coming. Are we getting just t-shirts and shorts, or are we getting full accessory merch?
I think you might get some socks, right? You might get some socks, you might get some phone cases, but actually I think I'll take that back because I don't know, like, people still use Samsungs now. Like, yeah. That's the problem. There's too many phones out. Like, you're just gonna have to do I wanted to do that, but I'm like, too many phones. I can't keep up with the phones now. Like,
makes sense.
But there's gonna be a little knickknacks for everyone. So stay tuned.
I love that. Well, it's been a pleasure, Nailah. This is Soca Odyssey, people. We're here giving you the exclusives. You've heard her first album on the way, Variety. She's ready to conquer Africa, connect the diaspora to the motherland, and give us the amazing vibe and energy. Soca royalty, Nailah Blackman. Make sure you subscribe, you share, like this video, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.